remembering the importance of the Legion. This is Go. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. You're watching Go on Shaw TV's Channel 4. Today we are in Campbell River at the Legion, and we are going to be catching up with 3 veterans who are going to share with us the importance of the role that the Legion plays in veterans' lives. We're going to start the show right here in Campbell River at the Campbell River Museum with Marjorie Greaves and a very special exhibit. The Anne Frank exhibit is on at the Campbell River Museum until November 15th, and I highly recommend that you take your children and your family and friends and go and witness it. It is spectacular. And now joining me here in Campbell River in front of the cenotaph is Petty Officer Second Class Elaine Schatzny. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Good. Now, how many years did you serve?
I did 28 years in the Canadian Navy. Joined in 1969 and retired in 1997.
Now, in your view, from your own personal experience, the role of the Legion, how would you like to see it continue into the future?
I wish that our current military personnel would look at it and say, hey, listen, this is the unit that would be our help after I retire. Because I know in the past, for me, I wasn't looking at the Legion as an outfit looking after veterans. I thought it was only for the veterans that fought during the war, in the First and Second World War, and that was it. And it took me a few years to realize, no, it's not the case. The Legion is there for all veterans, anybody that wore the uniform, military and also our CMP. So it's good for the veterans, especially the younger veterans now. Well, we call them younger veterans. Per person that served with the United Nations, Afghanistan, Bosnia, and so on and so forth.
So would you say that it is even more important now than it was, say, during the Cold War years?
The Legion, yes, because it's there to help us, you know, to help the veterans and all this. You know, like for example, the Legion is the liaison between the veteran and Veterans Affairs. A lot of veterans, old veterans, went on their own to go to Veterans Affairs, and it's the paperwork and the bureaucracy and the red tape is humongous, and it's very hard. Come through the Legion, through our service officer, we initiate the paperwork, we do the research, we do the paperwork and all that through Veterans Affairs, and it's a lot easier. It's simpler. Veterans Affairs looks at the Legion first, then they look at whoever else asked for it afterwards.
Now, do you think with the new government that is now in place under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the new Minister of Veteran Affairs and the new Minister of Defense that who have a background and who are veterans, that things might change a bit?
I hope so. I hope so. In the past, you know, we had previous ministers that never had an idea what the military was all about. They thought it was just somebody that wore the uniform and just go and do their stuff. But you know, now we've got veterans that know what it's all about, and I hope it's going to be a great help for veterans and military personnel serving now. Yes.
Well, sir, thank you so much for your service to Canada. And the coming week is all about remembering our veterans. And most of us do remember 365 days a year and not just November 11th. But thank you for your service and thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And now we're going to head over to Powell River, where John McKenzie brings us a story about salmon enhancement. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. You're watching Go on Shaw TV's Channel 4. We are here in Campbell River, and it is now raining a little bit, so we're under an awning to try to stay dry, but it's not really working. It's working for Gord. He's completely under the awning. Across the street, of course, is the cenotaph, and this week is Remembrance Week. So please spend some time remembering the sacrifices that were made for you so that you could live in a free country. with all of the wonderful things that Canada has to offer. Right now, we're going to take a short break, but stay right where you are. We'll be right back. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. Welcome back. You're watching Go on Shaw TV's Channel 4. We have caught up with a veteran, Ed Falstrom, here at his shop, Periscope Promotions. Now, Ed, tell us a little bit about your military career.
Well, I joined the Navy at 17, and I joined under a new officer training program called a Venture. And from there, that was in 1954, and then I served a 30-year career in the Royal Canadian Navy. And retired in 1992. Now, that doesn't add up to 30, I know, but I took a little break in the middle, about an 8-year break, and then came back.
What was the high point for you?
I think my experience commanding our submarines.
You commanded the whole submarine?
Well, I was a captain, yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yes. I did most of my training in Britain before we had our own submarines. And then after, I did almost 10 years with the Royal Navy, qualified to command, came back to Canada, commanded HMCS Grills, which was in Esquimalt at the time.
Yeah.
And soon thereafter, we bought the Rainbow. And after 2 years with the Rainbow, I went east and commanded the Onondaga, the Ojibwe, and the Okanagan. The 3 of the O-boats in a 5-year period.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
that's very impressive.
That was most of it. Yeah.
Very impressive. Now, what are your thoughts on the role that the Legion plays in supporting the veterans, especially the new ones coming out of service now?
Oh, I think very much so. I think it's critical that we do have some force or some agency which will provide support to our veterans. You know, my service was Cold War, so I didn't see any of the frontline action which a lot of our current veterans have had to face. You know, it was I did a lot of exercising and toured around a lot, but I was never put in a position where I had any form of danger. Yeah.
Now, so the Legions offer support programs in addition to just being come on down and talk with some fellow veterans. So that's something you'd like to see them continue long term?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Well, the Legion was very instrumental in me proceeding to get my pension for my hearing loss.
Oh.
Sometimes it's very hard to go, and they're good advocates for that sort of thing.
Right.
You know? So
excellent.
I pursued it. They turned me down twice and went to the Legion, and they pursued it. And so I do get a benefit from the Veterans Affairs for hearing loss. Yeah.
Good. Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Ed, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for your time today and sharing some of that with us. And I'm sure that throughout this week, Canadians everywhere will be remembering and honoring gentlemen just like you.
Well, I appreciate you coming down to talk with us. Yeah,
All
very
right.
much so. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break, but stay right there. Branch, the Sting Man, Fix Canada. I'm pretty sure that's what just happened today. Canada got fixed, meaning we have a new government in place. But no politics on this show. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. You're watching Go on Shaw TV's Channel 4. We are in Campbell River, right in front of Coho Books, across the street from the Cenotaph, and it is Remembrance Week. And I'm calling it that because this show airs from November 6th all the way through to November 13th. And recently we caught up with Constable Don Sinclair of the Comox Valley RCMP, who had a very special piece of information for everyone. Have a look. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. You're watching Go on Shaw TV's Channel 4. We are in Campbell River today, right now in front of the Legion, and joining me is Rosaire Bernard, but everybody around here knows him as Barney. He's a retired RCMP, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, if he is RCMP, why is he standing in front of the Legion in a Legion outfit, and why is he president of the Campbell River Legion? And Barney's going to explain that if you're retired RCMP, what are you doing at the Legion?
Well, the Legion's very important. A lot of people don't know that the RCMP were involved in the First World War as the Royal Northwest Mounted Police. They were involved in the Second World War, and they were the first Provo Corps. So the involvement between us and the Legion is strictly from the wartime efforts that
Goes way back to the beginning.
Put in. Yes.
Wow, that is
And why am I the president? It's because I look at the good the Legion did. I'll tell you a quick little story.
Sure.
This coming year, I was supposed to be the president of the RCMP Veterans Association for the Central Vancouver Island vets.
Right.
But I looked at what I could do for the Legion, and I thought, I can do more here than I could with the RCMP. The Legion, and being close to November 11th, we have the Poppy Campaign, and the Poppy Campaign brings us a whole lot of money that we can benefit and help the other veterans, that being with home care assistance, as somebody in need of money, so our veterans do not go by the wayside.
Right. Now, so that's the importance of the Poppy Campaign, and that explains the RCMP connection. I didn't know that about the RCMP connection. I think that's marvelous, but why isn't that well known?
Well, again, it's in the history books. When you tell the story by word of mouth, people remember it. But if it's in a book, it's laying there, and not many people want to pick the book up and read the pages because that's history. That's old stuff. What do I want to know about that for?
Right.
But it's only at times like this when somebody broaches the question, and it's answered in that way.
Now, tell us about your family history.
In my history, one of the things, and I do get emotional, my father was in the First World War, and he was gassed, and as a result of that, he died in 1942. 2 years later, in June 44, August 44, in the Battle of Falaise, the Falaise Gap in France, my brother Francis was killed. I had a brother, Paul, in the Navy, and he served in Korea on board ship down there. I myself served with the United Nations, and I did 2 tours of duty in Haiti. So my family history is kind of military, and I look at all the other people that have had more brothers, sisters than we ever did in the military, and it's a great thing for all of us to know these stories.
And then to gather at the Legion and share all the stories and pass them on to the next generation of veterans.
Can I say a little thing about the Legion? And this kind of hurts me. It's 3 times now I have been broached, once in Mexico. Oh, the Legion, there's nothing but a bunch of drunks in there telling old war stories or whatnot. And 3 times people have come with that same kind of story, and they have never set foot in the Legion. This is just what they think. And sometimes you might have someone that might have a little bit too much, but that is a controlled situation. The bartender takes their keys away, they do not serve them anymore, and they get a taxi home. But come into the Legion, we have many things that go on. We have bingos, we have darts, we have dances, we have football game parties. I mean, it's just, everything is involved here. So come on in, have a look around, see what we have, and there might be something you want to enjoy and get in on it.
And it provides support for veterans and veterans' families, so that's fabulous.
And I'm also the service officer for the Legion as well.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mary Ruth. I do appreciate it. And the folks out there, November 11th, take a minute.
And now we're going to head down to the Comox Valley for an informational piece from a new volunteer reporter, Jim Gardner, from Crown Isle. This is Crown Isle's Sweet Spot, and this one's about running. Well, that's Crown Isle's Sweet Spot for this week. And that running clinic starts on January 16th. Have a look at the website that you see there on the screen. Visit it. It has all the information for you to get involved and for you to learn how to run. Great New Year's resolution, right? And now, here is a brand new Campbell River Rapid Fire. Thank you so much for watching Go today on Shaw TV's Channel 4. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. We've been in Campbell River and we had wonderful conversations with 3 veterans. And I hope that during this Remembrance Week that you've had a chance to reflect on the sacrifices that were made so that we could live in a free and just society in an amazing country. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you next week.